Fellas, if a girl doesn't want to keep your last name when you get married, that is a major red flag right there. The divorce is coming. It's only a matter of time when the divorce comes, and it's going to hit you out of nowhere. It's going to be as smooth as a Cuban cigar.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amaomi, aka Petite Diva, and in this video we are looking at women changing their name or not changing their last name after they get married to their husband. Now, some people are for women changing their last name to their husband's last name after they get married, and some people are not for women changing their last name to their husband's last name. So let's check out what people have to say, and then I'll come back to share my thoughts.
Fellas, if a girl doesn't want to keep your last name when you get married, that is a major red flag right there. The divorce is coming. It's only a matter of time when the divorce comes, and it's going to hit you out of nowhere. It's going to be as smooth as a Cuban cigar. You didn't even see it coming, bro. The clock is ticking. It's only a matter of time. What that translates into is you aren't worthy of her even keeping your last name. That's what that means, bro. And if a woman can't respect you, she can't love you. It goes hand in hand. She has absolutely no respect for you, and you guys still don't get it, and you don't want to listen to me. Because I guarantee you, if she married someone like Brad Pitt or Tom Hardy or even me, second top G, she would take our last names, no questions asked, because she would view us as someone worthy of even keeping the last name from. Your last name has to last generations to come. It's very important as a masculine man to have your last name spread for generations and generations to come. If she doesn't want to keep your last name, how are you going to do that, bro? How the are you going to do that? And I understand there's some cultures that don't take the man's last name, whatever. This is some new age bullshit where you're being programmed to be feminine and the women are programmed to be masculine. That's what's happening here, and you don't even see it coming, bro. But I see everything. I see everything, fellas. I'll give you a great example. Anytime a patient would come into my old job and she told me that she kept her last name, in my mind, autopilot. The dude is a beta male barnacle, the teacup ride at the amusement park who has no backbone. Lo and behold, he would waltz right in, and I was right. The dude was built like a number 2 pencil. He was a dork. As a woman, I wouldn't even want to keep his last name. But women have an uncanny ability to settle. We all know this, fellas. At a certain age, women are looking for the beta male provider. That's why they don't want to take your last name. They don't see you as that alpha that actually turns them on, bro. How does that make you feel? She doesn't even look at you as someone worthy to take the last name from. She has no respect for you. And if a woman doesn't respect you, she will never love you, bro. If a woman ever told me she wants to keep her last name, guess what? I'm breaking up with her. I'm moving on because I understand how the game works. The first sign that a woman respects you when you get married is she wants to keep your last name, no questions asked. She doesn't even hesitate. It doesn't cross her mind to want to keep her last name. If you like this content, don't forget to grab my attraction course. The link is in the bio. The relationship course is in there as well. My workout program has just dropped. If you want these sunglasses, they're called Mr. Steal Your Girl. You will look like a straight up boss player. The link is also in my Linktree support. Follow me on Instagram. I'm fucking out.
Now, before I even reached the end of his video, I was like, this guy is selling something. It looks like the red pill guy and the rest. And I was right. He has a book. He has everything. He's also selling the shades. But the shades were nice. I was already looking at it. Oh, those shades are nice. Anyway, that guy is not serious, in my own opinion. Now, he was right in a part where he talked about if some women marry someone like Brad Pitt or someone known, they would want to take up the last name of those people. And it's true because they can capitalize on the last name, which is why sometimes when some women have built their brand around their marriage name, their husband's last name, they would refuse to go back to their maiden name because they've built a last name, so they are not going to want to remove it after the divorce. Yes, that happens. Like he said, there are some cultures where the woman does not really like take up the husband's last name. Is not required. Let's check out what other people have to say about a woman changing her last name after she gets married.
Get married, the only people who will care about if you change your name or not, or hyphenate it, or whatever you do with your last name as a female, the only people who actually care are males. I recently got married and I hyphenated my last name. That's kind of what I thought I always would do, but there were some scenarios where I was like, all right, I might just keep it. I love my birth name, like Maria Matalevich. Like, I think it sounds good. It's part of my identity. Part of my identity has always been having a really unique name. So even just hyphenating it, changing my last name is a whole like identity crisis, and that's a whole nother video. When I would talk about it, like maybe keeping my last name or hyphenating it, the only people who ever like had something to say or a speech to give were fucking males. The guy at the DMV, when I went to renew my license and we were trying to figure out the last name change, he was like, well, if you don't take your husband's last name, you're actually not married. And then proceeded to give me a 20-minute speech. And they get super aggressive about it too. Like they literally almost freak out. Like, oh, you're not going to take your husband's last name. Like, oh, you're not going to be in like, you're an actual family or an actual marriage. Like, calm down. One, I don't think most men can comprehend like the feelings a female might feel changing their last names. Some girls are like good to go and they change it in a day and they're excited about it. Some people are tied to their last name or like their last name or like their name, and that's so fine. And I don't think like men can literally grasp that like a female wouldn't change their name for them. I'm just sitting here like in silence thinking, because it's just so archaic to me. They get so aggressive about it. And literally since I've gotten engaged to now the point I'm in the process of like hyphenating my last name on all my stuff, every time the only people who ever have anything to say, all the females are like literally either say that's cool or don't literally have an opinion because it's not their life. Men, they have an opinion.
I just saw a post that said giving a baby the father's last name when you don't even have the father's last name is crazy. And I kind of agree, not gonna lie. And trust, I'm qualified to speak on this topic because I have my biological father's last name and my mother did not. For the ones who don't know, my last name is Williams and my mother's maiden name is James. So if your last name Williams or James, 9 times out of 10, we probably cousins. I ain't even gonna lie. Me personally, though, I'll never be in that situation because I promised myself that if I ain't have a ring on my finger, there will not be a baby in my belly. And that's just what it is. Sorry. And I know y'all will come talking about, well, rings don't mean nothing. You'll end up getting a divorce. He'll still do you wrong while y'all married, all this and the third. And you're right. Those are very much possible options. But I would rather take my chance with marriage over just getting pregnant to a nigga who ain't even, you feel me? I let y'all make all the stupid mistakes so I can sit back and watch.
Can we please normalize that it's okay to not change your last name if you don't need to? My husband and I have been together for almost 12 years and we just got married in August. So we've only been married for not even 2 months, but we did not legally change my last name. And I just feel like this topic is not talked about enough. So I'm going to share my reasoning as to why I haven't changed my last name yet and if I'm going to. I personally don't want to lose Stewart because I feel like it is a part of me, and I feel like losing my last name is losing a part of me. I don't want to sound dramatic, but Kaylee Stewart is my name. Like when I think of me, I think of my full name. I don't just think of Kaylee. So losing that part of me is just something that feels off to me, and I think that's okay to feel that way. So I was very open with this about my husband, saying that, hey, I don't want to lose Stewart, but I also don't want him to feel like he has to take my last name. I think the whole point of getting married is becoming husband and wife. It's not about changing our last names. So for me, I felt like it didn't change anything. I think we just both wanted to become husband and wife, and I think that's all that matters. What I will say though is that I will be hyphenating my last name eventually once we have kids. So that's something that I will be doing, but I just don't see the point of us doing that right now. I'd rather wait until we have kids in the near future. So that's something that we'll definitely be doing. And that makes me feel like I'm a part of Zach. Our kids are a part of us. So, you know, my last name will be hyphenated and then Zach's last name will stay the same. And then our kids will have Zach's last name. So I hope that makes sense. But I just wanted to normalize it because I feel like everyone feels this urge to completely change their name when you do not have to. You can do whatever you want, and just felt the need to talk about it because I feel like a lot of people just immediately change their last name and that's that. Whereas for me, I didn't want to lose it, and I feel like adding to it is going to be even better.
When you get married, you would keep your father's last name? No. No, you wouldn't.
I want to.
She's talked about it.
Unless the last name makes
Unless
my
the
name
last
really
name
cool.
is really awesome.
But
I like
then,
the way my last name
yeah,
sounds.
I like my last name too.
Doesn't that feel like you're not really getting married then?
No.
You're not really forming
No,
a
I mean, if
family.
you're devoted to each other in every way possible, I don't think
my
a
last
name
name's
is very
gonna affect
trivial.
Personally, me, if a girl isn't going to take my last name when I marry her, I'm not going to marry her.
I feel like the #1 question after I got married was, are you changing your last name? The answer was always no, but these are 3 reasons why I didn't change my last name and what me and my husband do to compromise about it. #1 is that me and my sister are the only 2 girls left in our immediate family with the last name, so it meant a lot not only to my family, but to me as well to keep the last name, since essentially going away within our family. #2 is I'm finally getting established within my career, and within that, people have got to know me as my original first and last name. My degrees have my first and last name on it, and I take pride in that, and it's something that I just did not want to change. #3 is probably the most common reason, and it's because I just felt like my first and last name are so ingrained in my identity, which sounds so tacky, and when I say that, I'm not saying like my identity to others, like my friends or like other people I meet. It's just like my true identity to myself. Like, I have been my original first and last name since I was a little girl. It's who I know myself as and who I see myself as, and I just didn't want to change that. Me and my husband have compromised by all this by agreeing that in certain social situations we will go by the same last name, will be referred to as one. For example, if we go to a dinner and the place card says, for example, the Smiths, I'm not going to correct the person and be like, that's not my name, change the place card. Even for our wedding, I agreed to let the DJ announce us as, for example, the Smiths. That was fine, and I think it just depends on certain social situations. At the end of the day, every couple is different. I have so many friends who changed their last name, who hyphenated their last name, and I don't think twice about it. You truly just have to do what works for you.
Her name, her choice. Gentlemen, whether or not your fiancé takes your last name is her decision alone. Frankly, it's none of your business to pressure her one way or the other. If she wants to keep her maiden name, respect that choice. Her name belongs to her. It doesn't belong to you. This isn't 1923. Let your future wife decide for herself what last name she wants to use. It's called personal choice for a reason.
What opinion will you defend like this? A whole sea of people have one opinion.
I will never change my last name to my husband's last name. So I'm currently a second year in dental school. So in 2.5 years, I will get the title of Dr. Sowell. And I worked for that title. My husband did not. So I will never be practicing under any name besides Dr. Sowell. If anything, my parents also worked for a title. They sacrificed. They're immigrants. They moved to this country and gave me the opportunity to become a doctor. So why would I ever change my last name and be called Dr. anything else?
Is it a deal breaker if she doesn't want to take your last name? My opinion, and people may not necessarily like this, it's none of your goddamn business. It's up to your wife or husband for that matter. If they decide that they want to keep their own name, that's up to them. It's their name. My wife's a professional woman. We got married. She kept her name. She didn't take my name, and I was perfectly fine with that. That is up to her, not up to you.
We know about women that don't take their husband's last name.
What is it that we know about women who don't take their last names? So this creator seems to be very upset because she has recently discovered that Kamala Harris does not have the same last name as her husband. And she seems very offended by that because we know about women who don't take their husband's last names. She's trying to imply negativity, obviously. I kind of wish she would just say it. I always knew Kamala Harris didn't have the same last name as her husband. I just didn't much care because it's completely irrelevant. First off, she already had a very established career at the time that they got married. And as women become more successful in their professions, they tend to drop their last names less. It was also a marriage that many would consider later in life. They met in 2013 and got married in 2014. The older a woman is when she gets married also tends to coincide with a lower percentage of her taking her husband's last name. And it was also his second marriage. And this creator says that because she didn't take Doug's last name, it hurts her identity. Because apparently the only way for a woman to have a respectable identity is to take the last name of her husband. Weird.
No one says to men, your last name is not really your last name because it just came from your dad. But people will look at a man and a woman, brother and sister, same last name, and say to the woman, that's not really your last name. It's just your dad's last name. The man will never be subjected to that. He gets an identity, the woman does not. If you think women do not have last names because they come from the paternal line, you're saying women are just transferable property for men to exchange throughout their lives and stake their claim on. When women are born, we get our last names the exact same way that men do. We are birthed, someone writes it on a piece of paper, and now it's ours. It does not matter how many men before me gave me this last name. Now it's mine. You gave it to me, and I can stake my claim on it exactly how any man can stake their claim on their own last name.
Okay, so now we've seen what a lot of people have to say about a woman taking up the last name of her husband when she gets married. And some of them have said that they are not taking up their husband's name after marriage. One particular person gave a reason that she and her sister are the only children of her father, so she's not going to change her name. She's not going to change her last name except for some certain occasion where she will be addressed by her husband's name. Now, personally, when I was younger, I would have said, okay, I'm gladly taking my husband's last name, no issue, because that's what's expected in Nigeria. But come to find out that Nigeria has a weird policy concerning women's last name. Now, some weeks ago, someone just made a tweet saying that Nigerian women, when they change their name to their husband's name, when they have to renew their passport, if they've changed their name on their international passport, they would need to get a consent letter or letter of consent from their husband. So you need to submit that with your application to renew your passport. And I was like, excuse me? Say what? Like, according to what was said, it's like they view a married woman as a minor to her husband. And I'm like, a minor, a grown-up adult, a minor to a man she married because she changed her last name to his name. Now, and I noticed that even the changing of name for documents is always like stressful, but yet men want their wives to like hurry up to change their name, even though they know that it's going to cause a lot of issues when they are changing it. They're like, change the name. And some women don't mind. They will change their name immediately, like from the wedding day. But the documentation is a whole lot. But learning that about the passport, that I need to take permission, I need to take letter of consent because I want to renew my own passport, just made me just make the decision that no way am I changing my last name in Nigeria. So all my bank documents, everything will stay with my name, because why would I want to give myself stress to change to another person's name? Why? So it stays that way. Now, somebody mentioned that she's keeping her last name until she gets kids, then she would hyphenate her name and her husband's last name. And honestly, that is what I also thought, that not in Nigeria anyway. If I happen to marry someone that is a non-Nigerian, I'm going to hyphenate because of kids, if I have kids, so that there's no trouble with, oh, you're not having the same last name as your kids. Are you a kidnapper? Are you trafficking? Something like that. And just because there might be issues, maybe when you're trying to get the kids into school and they're like, oh, you don't have the same name as your kid. Are you sure you're the mother? Something like that. So that is the decision that I said I would make if I ever get married and have kids. So that things are easy for me, because I don't think changing my last name in Nigeria is going to be easy for me, because I don't want restriction, because the way they restrict women sometimes, it doesn't make sense. But outside Nigeria, I know that I have to, like, because of my last name, it's not going to be what would be normally seen if the person that I marry is a foreigner. So for instance, if I marry someone that is an Asian person, I cannot go by my African name and have children that are having his Asian surname. So I would definitely have to hyphenate with the surname so that they know that, oh, I'm married to an Asian man and I gave birth to this mixed kids or something like that. So you just to like make things easier outside Nigeria and make things easier in Nigeria, if you get my drift. I understand quite a lot of other people's reason for not changing their last name, and I think it just depends on the couple and their understanding of things. Nobody is supposed to pressurize anybody to change their last name. If you want to change your last name as a married woman, go ahead. If you see someone that is not changing her last name as a married woman, it's none of your business, because you decided to change your own name and the person decided not to change their name. Everybody is allowed to do what they want to do, as long as the couple have an understanding and they're doing it for the reasons that are best known to them and not to you. So that is my own thought about this whole discussion of women changing their last name when they get married and not changing their last name when they get married. I would love to hear your own thoughts about this whole topic. Would you change your name if you get married, if you're not yet married, to your husband's last name? And if you're married, did you change your last name to your husband's last name, or did you not change your last name to your husband's last name? I would love to hear what you think about this whole topic. So please leave your comments in the comment section so that we can get this discussion popping. Now, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you are not yet subscribed and like videos such as this, please consider subscribing by clicking on the red button that says subscribe. And don't forget to click on the bell notification icon by the side so that you're notified anytime I upload videos. Now, with all that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.